This episode is brought to you by SkinCeuticals, the #1 medical aesthetic skincare brand worldwide and the leader in antioxidant science. To learn more, visit www.skinceuticals.com.
I'm Dr. Patty Ferris. I'm a board-certified dermatologist, and I'm your host for this episode of Skincare Confidential. Just as a reminder, Skincare Confidential is an extension of our medical meeting, the Science of Skincare Summit. It's a meeting that was designed to teach healthcare professionals about the science behind topical skincare products and how to utilize them in clinical practice. Today, I am so excited to be interviewing one of the world's experts on photoaging. Dr. Pourzand. I hope I pronounced it close. She holds a doctorate in science in cancer biology from the University of Lausanne in Switzerland, and is also recognized by the fellows of the Royal Higher Education Academy and the Royal Society of Biology in the United Kingdom since 2003. She currently works as a reader in the pharmaceutics at the Department of Life Sciences, again, at the University of Bath, where she also leads the skin photobiology group. At present, she holds positions of Associate Dean at the Faculty of Science and the Director of the Innovation Center for Therapeutic Innovation of Bath. She's internationally recognized for her work pioneering in the field of sun-mediated oxidative damage to the skin, and boy, are we in for a treat. I'm going to start this podcast by saying I am a fangirl of yours. So I have read a lot of your work. I was not aware that you were the first person who started looking at and discovered labile iron. And we're going to go all through that. It's so fascinating. And I think it's a piece of the oxidative puzzle that many people are not familiar with. So I'm really excited about this interview. Why don't we just start off with some of the basics, since you're so well versed in photobiology, and maybe talk about just sun exposure and the role that it plays, obviously, particularly ultraviolet A and photoaging. And then maybe explain, something about the longer wavelengths of light, which are becoming more important, visible light and infrared.
Thank you very much, Dr. Faris, for giving me this opportunity. I'm grateful to be here. Yes, I'm the person who works on the photoaging and UVA, and here a lot of my colleagues, they also call me Iron Lady, because I also work in the field of photoaging and iron.
Oh, that's so cute.
So, which is not very nice, but well, anyway, I work on the field of UVA for over 20 years because I'm originally a specialist of oxidative stress, and because UVA was the oxidizing component of sunlight, this would mean that it would generate reactive oxygen species, which is also commonly called free radicals in the skin. It is an agent which can induce a lot of oxidative damage in the cells. It means that these free radicals, they can in the cells damage the fat, lipids, the protein, and also genetic material, DNA. And as such, the cells also develop a lot of antioxidant defense, so they have some things in the cells to actually protect and prevent them against these free radicals. But for the individuals who go often to the sunlight and for the prolonged exposure, this antioxidant defense are not sufficient, and therefore the damage gets into the cells, and sometimes it creates other consequences. If the cells which are damaged are eliminated, that's good for the individuals. If the cells which are damaged, they are not eliminated, they may proceed to photocarcinogenesis, which is basically the development of skin cancer. And therefore, it's very important because of the nature of UVA and UVB of component of sunlight, which are cumulative. Each time you go to the sun, you get some damage there, and the damage doesn't disappear, so it stays there. And each time you add on a bit more on that damage. So it's important to pay attention to the sunscreens and also sun lotions and applying them, which by itself is another topic. The problem that I faced 20 years ago, it was that most of the sun creams and sun lotion, they had this SPF, this sun protection factor, which is a way of scoring the sun lotions for UVB protection.
Mm-hmm.
But there were a lot of, debate that the sun creams, they were not really protecting against UVA. So over the last 20 years, a lot of effort has been gone to create a similar index for UVA, which is called UVA index, and sometimes in UK they also refer this to as stars. So we always recommend for people to use some protections which have high SPF, protection against UVB, but also to UVA, because UVA for a star would allow that you get the good protection. The sad story is that although most of the sun lotions and sun creams now, they have this ability to protect against UVB and UVA, people, they don't apply them enough. So if you want to get, 2 milligram per centimeter square recommended amount of sun cream, for example, for your face, you have to put a full pot of cream only on your face. And nobody does this. I don't do this either. So
it's hard to do. Hard to do.
Exactly. So this brings the topic of my research, that maybe we should have some fail-safe mechanism, that if people apply sun lotion but not enough, or go to the water, they towel themselves, they actually eliminate a lot of this protection. Yes. Then they should have something as not as a passive protection only with this sun lotions, but with some things which are actually already absorbing the skin and actively there, they can protect them as a fail-safe mechanism. And UVA being also an oxidative agent, so logically, you want to have antioxidants there.
Of course, yes.
But antioxidants by themselves, they are not very strong, because an antioxidant can actually neutralize a free radical in one round. But if you have more UV exposure, or you have elements such as iron, which is a catalyst of, formation of highly reactive oxygen species, then you will end up to have other component in addition to antioxidant to actually stop this vicious cycle of formation of free radicals.
Let's go back a little bit about the labile iron piece. Where does that iron come from? And then how does it create reactive oxygen species?
Well, all the cells, they need iron. So every cell naturally has some free iron. Mm-hmm. So this free iron is necessary for cell division. It also is necessary for heme-containing proteins in the cells. Some of them are also antioxidants, such as catalase, which is a iron-containing enzyme. But the problem is that because iron in the free form can be toxic, because it can actually participate in the formation of highly reactive oxygenate species. That's why iron has to be contained. So there is a huge molecule in cells which is called ferritin, and this protein actually, which has 24 subunits of heavy light, and is a quite massive molecule, actually is responsible to mop this extra iron in the cells and actually keep them in a free form, if you want, as a volt of iron. And when it's necessary, it can, release it to the cells to be used. So ferritin is usually in the cytosol, and after 24 to 48 hours, depending of the cell line, it become old. So it is, with the chaperone, it goes to the lysosomes, it gets degraded by specific proteases in the lysosomes, and this iron is released. And this iron is actually then used in the cell for other processes. When skin cells are exposed to UVA, we just find out that because UVA is a strong membrane damaging agent because of the formation of free radicals, it not only damages the lipids of the plasma membrane, but also it damages the membranes of the subcellular organelles, notably lysosomes. And as such, it releases these proteases, which are supposed to be in the lysosome to degrade, the old proteins and recycle this iron and so on. They are actually pathologically released to the cytosol, so start actually degrading any proteins that they have as substrates, and one of them is ferritin. Gotcha. So upon UVA, we found that pathologically, ferritin is degraded in the cytosol, so it releases all this iron which has been safely sequestered within its shell, actually to the cytosol. And because UVA also generate at the same time free radicals, so the combination and the presence of simultaneously having free iron and reactive oxygen species cause a sort of a specific type of reactions, which are called Fenton chemistry type reactions. And if you have hydrogen peroxide, which is usually produced by UVA in the vicinity of iron and in the vicinity of the membranes, then you will get, formation of hydroxy radicals, which is the most vicious type of free radical in the cell.
Right.
It has a short half-life of 16 femtosecond, but is so potent. It looks like, one of these agents you see in these computer games, these agents which are running and, destroying everything. So within this 16 femtosecond, it can damage lipid, protein, DNA, and does a lot of irreversible damage. So that's why iron is very, dangerous in the UVA and often is overlooked, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's something that people oftentimes are not aware of. So this sets up, obviously, the discussion of chelators that can chelate iron. And I know that you've recently done some studies in this area. So talk about maybe some of the dual functioning antioxidants. You work with ferulic acid, for example.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we originally started because iron is important in photo damage by UVA. So we started to look at some synthetic chelators, some of, even clinical chelators. But these are so strong chelators that if you add them to skin, it can also stop, the overall normal function of the cells, which routinely needs iron. So, and also because of the consumer market, people are now taking any product in a shelf and they want to see what is in it. They don't want anything chemical, preservatives, and so on.
Right.
So natural products are, the future. But then the natural product, as I mentioned, if they have only antioxidant activity, this is not enough because iron is present in UVA, in UVA after UVA exposure. Therefore, if you only want to neutralize free radicals because of addition of iron there, you will have again formation of free radicals right away. So therefore, one should look for the products which have this dual function of not only having a potent antioxidant activity, but also having at least some iron binding capability so that it can mop iron, not deplete the cells of iron, but actually adjust the iron which has been released after UVA. So this is a sort of a program in my lab that we are following up for a while now. We are actually screening a tremendous amount of, polyphenols, antioxidants, and so on. So, and one of the ones that recently we find out in collaboration with the SkinCeuticals, it was this exciting molecules of ferulic acid, which because of their structure, they are supposed to act as antioxidant and also iron chelator, natural iron chelator, to mop the iron and also neutralize the free radicals. And actually, we have done a bit of experiments with them, and we find out that the ferulic acid is a very good antioxidant and an excellent iron chelator. When we pre-treat the cells with this compound, we can not only bring down the labile iron just without UVA radiation, but after UVA radiation, we adjust this damaging iron which is released in addition to its antioxidant activity, giving us a very good protection against UVA.
I love that. That's so fascinating. And it's a natural compound.
Yes,
so
exactly.
When people turn it over and look at the back of the label, they're not going to be scared of it.
No.
This episode is brought to you by SkinCeuticals, the #1 medical aesthetic skincare brand worldwide and the leader in antioxidant science. To learn more, visit www.skinceuticals.com.
Now, are all polyphenols chelators? Isn't the structure what makes them be able to chelate?
Yes, some of them are like natural catechol, which is, a sort of a chelators, and some of them they don't have catechol structure, but because they have some hydroxyl function here and there, they can actually act as a ligand for iron. Yes.
So interesting. And again, the dual function is so great. And they also, many of them, they all upregulate NRF2. So they increase your own intrinsic antioxidants. So as I think about it, I'm thinking they're kind of like a triple threat. They're quenching free radicals, they're chelating iron, and they're also increasing your own enzymatic antioxidants. I love it. It really connects the dots for me. Talk about, you also did a study that you published or that you presented, I think at EADV, where you looked at C and E, and I think it was ectoin. Yeah, talk about that study.
Yes, of course. Vitamin C and vitamin E, they are very potent antioxidants. And their combination is always, very much protective against UVA, and also for the visible light and near infrared, because visible light and near infrared, they also have oxidative component, and they generate reactive oxygen species, so they can have a protection for them too. That's what we are looking also at the moment on them. So vitamin E is a lipid peroxidation chain blocker. So when you have iron release in the cells, UVA also generates singlet oxygen. These two start damaging the membranes and creating a sort of a free radicals based on lipids, which are like alkoxyls, and they can damage and actually make hole in the plasma membrane. And this damaging effect obviously, first of all, bring extracellular media to the cells, so they can swell, they can die by necrosis, and if it does not, it creates very, very vulnerable cells and damaged cells at all. And in terms of skin derma component, having lipid peroxidation is just is a very strong sign of damage. So vitamin E would actually stop the formation of these lipid peroxides, and as such, it is a very strong antioxidant. But we also find that because it's a very protective, both vitamin C and vitamin E, by themselves, they protect the cells against UV-induced photo damage, not only in the plasma membrane, but also in the subcellular organelles. And as such, they actually protect the skin cells against UVA. So now, if you add to this combination also something like ectoin, which is known as a membrane stabilizer, so you're actually, solidifying your protection. You are consolidating the fact that you have vitamin C and vitamin E to stop the lipid peroxidation, and ectoin, which keeps the membrane integrity as it is. So together, we found out that they are a very good combination to ensure that the skin cells actually survive and are protected against UVA. So they have very strong activity, and because they protect the lysosomal membranes against UVA, they are also actually protecting against UVA-induced iron release, which is also very important.
So interesting. You've done some really innovative work creating iron chelators, for example, light activated iron chelators. Talk about those. I think that was so fascinating.
Well, the light activated chelator is actually stems from the fact that we found that strong chelators by themselves, if you add them to the skin, they start, mopping iron even when you don't go to the sunlight. Okay. So we decided that this is not like very, very safe way. So we should have some pro chelator, which can only be activated when you go to the sunlight and the skin actually experience a damaging dose of UVA, which I think is very good. And we first did the first generation where you had a prochelator with a caging moiety, which was photolabile, so it could lead to not let any iron chelation activity, but upon UVA, this photolabile, moiety would have detached. So in the first generation, this photolabile moiety had no biological function. But in the second generation, we started to use hydroxycinnamic acids, where this component actually, after releasing by UVA, was converted to umbelliferone, which is a natural antioxidant, and also iron chelator. So we had, we called them multifunctional light activated chelator. So we had a chelator which also released again natural antioxidant and chelator at the same time. So, and then from then on, we also realized that the mitochondria is also a very important organelle and vital, and damage to mitochondria is very important. So it was a lot of debate to say that because mitochondria, it was where the heme and iron sulfur clusters were synthesized, it should have been, a good destination of labile iron. Mm-hmm. And because of presence of a big pool of labile iron there, maybe these organelles were very susceptible to sunlight. So we started to work in collaboration with King's College London to design some chelators which were targeted directly to the mitochondria, to see whether by protecting the mitochondria we can actually get better protection. And actually the kind of compounds that we made, they provided an unprecedented, protection against UVA, even at very high doses. So that would mean the mitochondrial labile iron was very important. And if you mop them, you actually protect the cells against mitochondrial damage and UV-induced cell death, really.
Mitochondria makes so much ROS itself. It's
absolutely
just a little factory for reactive oxygen species. So
exactly,
that's super interesting. Maybe in conclusion, just what do you see as the future of? Well, let me ask you one other question. What about pollutants? I know some pollutants bring in, they serve as Trojan horses, bringing in things like iron. Is that iron relevant? I mean, can it participate in the Fenton reaction? Yes, and give us bad reactive oxygen species like hydroxyl
Yes,
radical?
yes, we think that, and there are a lot of studies, some done by Giuseppe Valacci. They have shown actually that, with iron chelators, such as this works, I mean, you can actually mop the particulate matter, mediated damage by sunlight to the skin cells. So again, another fascinating, connection between the iron and photo damage related to pollution also.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Giuseppe Valacchi's done so much good work on pollution, and I had the pleasure of interviewing him as well. So
He's a very entertaining scientist.
He really is. The reason I became interested in your work is Giuseppe and I were writing a paper together a couple of years ago, and we were trying to put forward a more current way to protect the skin from environmental aggressors. And I came across chelation and all your work. And I'm like, you have to talk about this, Giuseppe. And he's like, of course. And then he explained to me how pollutants do the same type of thing. And I was, again, totally unaware of that piece of the puzzle. So I see this as really important work because as dermatologists, we need to be kept abreast of really what is the most current way to protect the skin. And as you mentioned, we all use UV filters. We all recommend antioxidants, but now we might want to be thinking about which antioxidants might also provide chelating benefits. Do you see this as part of the paradigm as we move forward clinically?
Absolutely, because more and more also, a labile iron has been shown to play a key role in a lot of iron-related disorders such as cancer, diabetes, neurodegenerative disease. So I think, and there are a lot of studies that they are using natural antioxidants with chelating capabilities also for, as a therapeutic approach for this disease. So this is something we are also working as part of our commitment to iron. And at the moment we have designed a series of iron sensors which can measure specifically the iron in different compartments of the cells, in the cytosol, in the mitochondria, in the lysosomes, and in the nucleus. And we call them, we are trying to get the labile ironome signature of cells, not only in the healthy cells, because we find out that when individuals have, a higher labile ironome, they are highly sensitive to sunlight. So this can be used, for personalized sun protection or as an index for the sun sensitivity. But also we are now looking at the labile ironome signature of a lot of, disease which are related to skin or not. So we think this iron is important. And hence they call me Iron Lady because I keep working on iron.
Well, you are the Iron Lady, that's for sure. This is a major discovery and a very important piece of the puzzle. I want to thank you for coming on Skincare Confidential. I'm honored to have you. I've learned so much. I'm actually writing a talk on antioxidants and I'm going to add chelation to it. So I just learned a lot of things from you. I appreciate it. I thank everybody for listening. I hope everybody has a great day. And thanks so much again for your time and your expertise.
Thank you very much, Dr. Faris. It was a pleasure here. And thank you. It was very interesting for me, this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.